Hi, and welcome back to Confirmation. Today we're going to be talking about volunteering in the church. Now, the last 3 weeks we've really focused a lot on service. We've talked about church work, which is a service career, having an attitude of service, and now we're going to look a little bit more at that service side of it and look at some practical ways that we can volunteer right here in our church as well as in our community. A few years ago, Robin Williams, who's a famous actor, started a movie called Patch Adams. Maybe you've seen it. It was based on the true life of a very unconventional medical student. Earlier in his life, Patch tried to actually commit suicide because his life had lost any sense of purpose or direction. His life was spared, and while he was recovering in a psychiatric hospital, he discovered that helping people made him feel much better about himself. With his newfound discovery, he checked himself out of the hospital and enrolled in medical school so that he could pursue a career that would enable him to give his life away to others. He soon discovered, though, that not everyone shared his passion for helping other people. Patch challenged the entire medical establishment. He made everyone uncomfortable because he made people face the fact that they had forgotten the purpose of a hospital. The purpose of a hospital was not to help patients. The purpose of a hospital was to help people. Over and over again, throughout the movie, he went out of his way to touch people. Open your Bible now to 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3. We're going to look at 1 John chapter 3, verses 11 through 19. 11 through 19. And these verses are going to challenge you to answer this question. What am I specifically doing to reach out and be a blessing to those that God has placed in my life, here at church and in the community? John really goes after us, and he leaves nowhere to hide as he exhorts us with one of the most central truths of Christianity. It is more blessed to give than it is to receive. So take a minute to look at it right now. 1 John chapter 3, verse 11 through 19. All right, at the beginning of the verse, we see a comparison to Cain and Abel in verses 11 through 15. In this passage, John sets up a black and white illustration for us to underscore the truth that we are to love one another. Cain's actions with his brother Abel are an extreme example of what love is not. The most precious thing that any of us have is our lives. And it was taken from Abel by his brother. His life was taken away. None of us should be filled with the bitterness, the envy, or the anger that led Cain to murder Abel. Rather, we are to take a page out of the life of Jesus for our model. Now, second, we see what Jesus and how Jesus laid his life down for his people and for the world in verse 16. John contrasts the actions of Cain with the actions of Jesus. Instead of taking a life, Jesus laid his own life down. He gave his life away so that others might live. The phrase laid down is an interesting one. It would have been used to talk about an outer garment, like something to take off, like a coat, in which the clothing would have been taken off and physically laid down. In referring to Jesus, John is saying this, that he took off his own life and willingly laid it down for us. Now, third, this passage, we're meant to give our coat away, that coat that which we lay down. And we see this in verse 17 and 18. John brings these words down to the personal level. Since Christ laid down his life for each and every one of us, we are meant to give our lives away also. In other words, we are to lay down our coats. So we need to ask the question now, what does our coat represent in today's world? I challenge you to think about it this way. First, our coat represents our material possessions. John makes it very clear that as we see someone who has a practical need, a tangible material need, and we turn our backs away It's as if we made the love of God disappear right then and there. Amongst the church, laying our lives down means giving freely of our money and our resources to be a blessing to others. That's hard for us to do. Trust me, I know. Secondly, our coats represent our time and our talents. Jesus' examples challenges us to consider volunteering our time and abilities to bless others. Specifically, every church rises and falls on the amount of volunteer energy it has harnessed. If we didn't have volunteers around here at Fishers of Men, nothing would get done here because the staff can't do it all, and volunteers are the heartbeat of what makes this church run. Our church has volunteer needs in lots of different places. For instance, a personal one, we no longer ask you just to be an acolyte. We're also asking you to be an usher, or to be a greeter, or to work up in the AV booth during services, or to help out at 9:30 during your confirmation hour. Maybe you help run sound, or you sing, or whatever it may be. We have needs like that, and volunteers like you make that happen. In addition, God expects each one of us to be a blessing in the lives that need God in their lives. Intentionally building a friendship with unbelieving people, unbelieving friends, unbelieving neighbors is a wonderful way to give away your coat. Giving your time at a soup kitchen or on a mission is another way to give away your coat. To lay down your life for somebody else. Let's face it. This is a challenging passage, this 1 John passage. John makes it very clear that giving our lives away is one of the hallmark behaviors of being a Christian. It's the thing that we are called to do. Now, if any of you saw the movie, The Passion of the Christ, think about when they finally got Jesus to the top of the hill. He was thrown on the ground, and in agony, Jesus willingly crawled on top of the cross to be crucified. It was a dramatic portrayal of Jesus literally laying down his life. When we look at all that Jesus has done for us, how can we selfishly hold on to our own coats? When we look at what Jesus has given up for us, how can we not give something up for someone else? Our coats are for other people. Who was God asking you to give your coat to today? Let's respond to God's promptings as we leave today, as we go into class, as we leave church this Sunday, as you go to school, whatever it may be, and on purpose, lay our lives down for others. Give them our coats. All right. Have a great week of confirmation. We'll see you next time.